From an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills, it's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode 73 is the perfect amount. And now please welcome the host of the long shot, Sean Conroy. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good noon, good night, good day, good dawn, good dusk, good desk. Welcome to the long shot. Come hell or high water. I am your host. My name is Sean Conroy. This is a podcast. With me today on the show, cigar in hand, or I don't know if it is anymore. It was before. Joe Wagner is here.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you again.
Also with me on the show, besides Joe, so therefore with us on the show, cigar in hand, or at least it was before. I don't know if it still is. Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
And one of those real cigars, a nice big one that you see on Cigar Aficionado.
It was huge. I couldn't believe how big that goddamn cigar was.
It's almost like comedy cigar, practically.
Wait, yeah. Joe, how often do you smoke cigars or cigarillos?
Cigarillos, I smoke maybe, so they come in a pack of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Today I happen to be smoking Swerve, which is...
That looks like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Strawberry margarita.
Wow.
And so I smoke about 2 a day.
Okay, inside.
One a day. But I open up the windows. I have these big industrial 100-year-old building windows that open pretty big. So
in Texas, they say the only thing in the middle of the road is yellow lines and dead strawberry margarita cigarillos.
my kind of place.
Yeah. When are things going to get back to normal? That's the first thing I wanted to say. When are things going to get back to normal? Because
big question.
I'm having a friend over tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Hello.
And I feel like it's weird, you know?
I feel like we're in a very strange time. I've said this for the 6 months we've been doing this podcast, but it continues to be true in different ways.
Every day.
We're like, I look on Instagram and some people are like,
good to
doing comedy and like having parties and traveling and doing everything. And then it feels like the other half of the people are hiding under a rock. And it feels like it's the extremes. So it feels unclear but you're vaccinated, right?
I am. And as is the person coming over.
And I think that's
very good.
That's blessed, right?
Yes.
Hashtag blessed.
The Pope is on board. It's actually the Pope. The Pope is coming over.
That's right.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I guess it just the
visit is within your residence. You will be inside your place.
Within I call it a domicile. You call it a residence. Domicile. But yes,
a habitat.
It's inside. Me abode.
Su casa.
Mi casa es su casa.
Oh, thank you.
But it's within my 4 walls. But I just feel like it is
su casa. We're pretty close.
Mi casa es ustedes casas.
I'm not going to, I don't want you, obviously you don't have to say who's coming, but is it a Latinx friend of yours?
No, absolutely not.
Salma Hayek is not dropping by tomorrow.
Are they coming to watch the Oscars?
No.
Because your neighborhood is a fucking nightmare on Oscar day. So it's hilarious that that's the day that you invited somebody over for the first time. Just putting that out there.
Classic.
Wait, is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I feel like I don't remember what it was. Was it the Oscars the time we recorded with Tim Meadows?
It was took him like
the Oscars. 4 hours to get there.
Oh my
God. Biggest guest ever.
Tim Meadows trying to get up to your undisclosed
location. Calling him on the phone, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm right at Cahuenga and Sunset. I'll be there in 4 hours." Yeah.
I'm waving. Can you see me? I'm in my car.
Yeah, this neighborhood. I mean, that's one thing that's been great about the pandemic is I haven't.
No traffic. Oh, it might not be bad because it's at Union Station.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Two things about Tim Meadows.
Location, but go with God.
Two things about Tim Meadows. Luckily, and this is a big cliche, probably one of the nicest guys in Hollywood.
Nice. Well, the fact that he still came, I feel like if I were Tim Meadows, I would have been like, I'm not coming. I am U-turning.
So long.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, did he ever come back?
No.
He's here right now. He wanted to get here early because the Oscars are tomorrow. He didn't realize they were at Union Station.
They're at Union Station. Oh, that because they're doing like big open air stuff.
Yeah, and then they have, they're going to do the trains. That they're having the
Oscars come on train.
Yeah.
Just a little Oscar sitting in a seat by itself. It's so
We're interviewing celebrities at the Starbucks. Or wait, what's that? There's that hot dog place. Have you guys seen that? You guys have been. You've never.
I've been to Union Station.
I've been to Union Station, but I have not been to the hot dog place.
Amber, what's that hot dog place? It's like I wanted to say it's like Wienerville or something.
I've taken the bus to the airport from Union Station.
Same.
Back before there was the flyaway, which is the best thing ever.
Then I haven't.
maybe like the two things.
I don't know how that changed your story, but okay.
Because I took the flyaway from you.
The flyaway, yeah. There was a bus flyaway, right?
Because now I can take the flyaway from Hollywood. I don't have to go all the way down to Union Station.
It's physically a bus, so that's why.
Right.
I was like, I took a bus from Union Station.
Right, but what I'm saying is it used to be you had to go to Union Station to take the bus to the airport. Mm-hmm. Now you could take the flyaway bus from Hollywood. Folks, if you're listening, this is the show about how to commute to the airport from anywhere in Los Angeles. If you're in Santa Monica, go to the diner on 24th Street, right at the corner of Olympic, and you can get on the... All right, go ahead, Joe.
The top two... In 27 years, the top two transportation things Los Angeles did were the flyaway bus and the 105 freeway to the airport.
Oh, okay.
I'm putting those out as top two, and I don't even like to rank things.
But it's interesting that they're both connected to the airport. So you're not in favor of the subway through Beverly Hills.
No.
Well, I'm saying those things will help. I'm just saying, for me, my top two favorites are the 105, which opened up, which really helped with airport traffic, and the flyaway, same thing, airport traffic. I mean, that is maybe one very specific thing, airport traffic, but I think that they really helped turn this city around.
Folks, you've tuned into Plane Chat.
When was the last time you flew anywhere? This question's for the room.
I thought it was just for Joe.
Let's go to Joe first.
Okay, 2019 holiday December, seeing my folks in Phoenix. No, I'm sorry. You know what? I may have taken a bus. That time.
Flyaway bus?
No, I took a mega bus
from Union Station.
Yes.
By the hot dog place?
No, it wasn't inside. It wasn't in the bus. The bus was not inside and not being.
What were the Oscars happening at that time?
On the bus.
Boy, a bus to Phoenix, that is a fucking a tough thing.
I've had one absolutely terrible bus experience. It was coming back from San Francisco from the SF Sketch Fest, because I had gone up there with a group.
I call it Fest.
And it wasn't squeeze, but I decided to come back earlier than the group, so I took a very early, I think it was Megabus, whatever, one of those, and I left like at 6 a.m. from San Francisco. It was still dark, and a guy got on the bus, and I pretty much fell asleep immediately because I was so tired.
It's going to be a long drive.
Used one of your special skills right away.
I really, really brought it to use and passed out within seconds.
You don't have to list that on your resume anymore, by the way.
No, fall asleep anywhere. And then I wake up because I hear a loud noise and I realize that a guy that's across the bus from me, one seat up, so it's not like he can directly look at me, but he is so drunk that he's thrown his bottle against the seat in front of him, and it made this loud sound, and it fell down because it was one of those double-decker buses, and it fell down the staircase. And I look. I'm
sorry, this was in London, you said?
And I look at him, and he is so. I've never had an experience with a scarier drunk where he's like. It's just like outbursts, loud outbursts. This young guy, totally gone, just completely blackout drunk. And he is spitting. He's spitting against his window. He's spitting against the chair in front of him.
I don't know if that's all just alcohol.
Well, no, I mean, there may have been other elements in there.
Weed makes you crazy.
Reefer madness.
Mental health issues.
Yeah, no, I know.
It was terrifying. And I remember that moment of like trying to look at the guy, keep an eye on him, but never making eye contact with him. And then once I did, it happened, and he was just like, like just that.
Well, but
with him.
Yeah, and in defense of the guy, when you say you made eye contact with him, you literally touched eyeballs together.
I got very close up to him.
That's hot.
Very slowly. Do you guys remember the great scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where they take the bus and a couple basically has sex on the seats next to them, next to Steve Martin and John Candy?
I'm thinking of the wrong movie.
And then they look, and then Steve Martin, he says something to John Candy, and he turns back, and they're both smoking already. That was still that you could still do that gag that people smoked immediately after fucking.
What were they? Were they smoking? What were they smoking? Cigarillos?
Strawberry margarita.
Not strawberry margarita. Just regular old.
Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong movie. I was thinking of The Jerk and Stripes.
Also great comedies.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
No. You were going to say something good.
No. You were going to say something.
I would like to get back to Sean.
We never let poor Sean talk.
I would never. Yeah, I realize that.
No, you cut me off. Go ahead.
We need to hear about this upcoming visit. It's going to be inside.
No. We don't need to hear about that.
It's going to be inside.
No, Amber was asking who's flown the most recently. And I haven't flown since last Christmas, a year ago Christmas, so 16 months or something like that. And I obviously went to New York, but drove the whole way. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But that was because I was not comfortable flying.
Right.
I feel weird saying this because we've all said it at one point, and it just at this point in this day and age, I read an article, but I did read an article that was positively affirming that flight travel is pretty safe if you've been vaccinated and you're still masked. The air filtration systems on the airlines have been upgraded. They haven't
penned by,
No, but this was a
Bob JetBlue.
No, this was a This was a CDC. This was a CDC, announcement or something.
I call it the KDIC.
But that's the thing. I mean, I read it and I thought, because I've mentioned I've thought maybe I'll go fly to see them in June for my birthday.
Well, that's nice.
And I'll be fully vaccinated by then.
And they will too.
They will be too. I'll definitely invest in whatever the effective mask is right now and make sure to own that. So it's no pool floaties around my face.
By the way, one thing we never talked about, which it just occurred to me the other day, is Joe is walking around with basically an addict's worth of insulation on his face.
Sean, you once described it as that there's also bubble wrap.
Yeah. It's like he's what was that movie with John
Travolta, Boy in the Bubble?
Cuba Gooding Jr. and I think it was Robert De Niro, where he was in the Navy. He was like training as a diver or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe has one of those, like an old timey diving suit on,
a diving
with like a window, like a little window that opens in the front.
Like what? When you get an aquarium, what the little figurine looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of, like he's a treasure hunter from the 19th century. He's got Captain Nemo's diving suit on.
Deep sea diver.
But what we never talked about was the whole thrust of the mask is not to protect you, it's to protect other people from you. Like that was the point of the mask. So people described wearing masks as protection as basically using a chain link fence to defend yourself against a BB gun. Like that was the virus coming in through stuff. So like wrapping yourself in the, whatever, we've already been through 7 different versions of that, but like, I don't know why that never occurred to me when we were discussing your insulation.
But it was
my own peace of mind.
Right. It was your security blanket.
It's my own peace of mind. I mean, I had read those same things. I was aware of that, but I think whenever
I'm saying I read an article. Yeah.
In an article.
I read several articles. I tried to go online and read several articles. But that, I think it really, it's almost like I recognized a phobia that I have. And I do know that in life, I've had moments where I'm like, I think I'm a little overreactive about germs than I should.
And I'm sure this didn't help.
And I think that
you don't like germs, like the time you pulled the moldy salsa out and almost ate it.
That's not to say that I don't have interesting contradictions and flaws.
You contain multitudes.
Right.
That's right.
It's just interesting. It's interesting to me because there's this whole thing this week. I don't know if you saw this guy. A great American politician, senator from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson, who has said there's no reason anybody should care about anybody else getting vaccinated. As long as you're vaccinated, who cares? It's got 95% effectiveness. So it doesn't matter if the people around you are vaccinated. So don't get vaccinated. So the thing about that is that's very anti-science in a sense. But I feel like
that's a generous way of saying it.
Yeah, but
John is sounding more and more like the pundits that always have to qualify everything. So that it's like
that aren't true.
In a manner, sure.
But I feel like your position is the flip side of that coin. Like it's also going, science is not real. My belief is real.
Oh wow.
Well, I absolutely acknowledge that. I think I've seen myself go through moments of being more swayed by my own paranoia and fear. And honestly, what I'm trying to get out of reading anything that happens to be positive, not that I'm seeking it out, but either
you're talking about articles now,
official announcements or analysis from John Hopkins University.
Listicles?
No listicles, no rankings.
You hate ranking.
Ranker.com. I do not like rankings. Some people don't like walnuts in their
What are your top two? What are your top 2 reasons for not liking rankings?
One, subjectivity, and 2, who cares? Watch the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember what I was saying. I don't remember what I was saying. I don't remember what I was saying.
Oh,
that you're not anti-science.
I'm not anti-science. I just know that I let myself get probably more carried away than I should have. But in my mind, ultimately, if it's in the service of caution, either for myself or for others, then
right.
Yes, I may have deprived myself of some stuff, but this is what I was
just oxygen.
Sorry, this is what I was about to end with because I really have been trying to do this.
Are we wrapping up?
Wait. Yeah, let's not.
No. I'm just saying
we haven't even started yet.
On the storyline of did I lose my mind? Am I crazy now? I think
yes,
that was not the premise of the question.
This is not a question anyone is asking.
Oh, well, okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Right. Where I'm crazy now. You're crazy. Too crazy now. Too crazy now.
Me crazy as usted is crazy. Loco.
I am, as Amber brought up in the beginning, I am trying to position myself into ending up in the middle between the extremes of crazy anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers and people who are going to become agoraphobic, if anything, you know what I mean? And shut-ins, and which is not a way to live. It's not a healthy way to live, obviously. So
you might go to Phoenix in June.
I might go to Phoenix in June, but I want to do it. I want to do it right. By plane, it's a short flight, so I don't.
You're going to take a biplane?
I'm gonna do that stunt thing where I stand on the top.
If you stand on your hands, I bet we could make a lot of money.
The great thing would be
that
I'd still be
air circulation, so
I'd still be so paranoid. I'm wearing my floaties, but I'm 20,000 feet in the air. I've mentioned this recently. I want to make sure that I don't settle and stay in any shut-in mode if I don't have to. And I know that there's a possibility that my temperament, my habits, my behaviors could go that way. And I'm just like, I've mentioned, like, my friend Matt actually had to go to Portland to be there with his family. But when he gets back, one of the first things I want to do is, because he lives so close, I just want to see him. I just want us to take that walk in the park that you guys have talked about. And that's a big thing for me. So between that and maybe a flight, but again, it's.
Wait, so you're going to go for a walk in the park and then get on a plane?
I'm going to take a walk on the plane and land it in a park. But I just want. I'm in that place, Amber, where I see a lot of the same social media posts. Sean, you're about to have somebody over. I think you're going to do it. Sounds like you're going to do it safely.
A lot of the same social media posts as who or as what?
As people who are beginning to socialize.
I see. That Amber mentioned before.
Right. Like
right. That are re-entering.
If you just looked at the post itself, there would be no hint that we are in a pandemic, that there has been a pandemic. Right. Like, it's just...
the posts that I do appreciate are... There's a friend of mine who lives in an apartment building with roof access, and she's had friends over, and they're masked in all the photos, and they're standing outside on the roof of a LA apartment building. And
how did they get to the roof?
Rooftop. Oh. You have roof access.
Yeah, but you have to be indoors.
Well, you're not.
And you have to
potentially in an elevator.
Now you guys sound like me from 2 months ago.
No, I am. Yeah, I'm going to have somebody over, but I do have rugs. We are going to wrap I'm going to roll myself in a rug before they get here. And then when they come in, they're going to roll themselves in a rug as well.
You're
so we'll be on opposite sides of the room, rolled up in rugs.
Are your faces facing each other, or will you be faced away from each other?
Oh, great.
Does it matter? And will we know,
Read an article.
You could just say east and west, like you could call it.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Then it doesn't matter where our faces are. Yeah.
What if you did it in a park? Is there going to be an outdoor element to this visit?
Roll further back. I can't, because then the rug will start to unroll. I need all these layers of rug rolled.
So, no, but you were mentioning that you had complicated feelings, and Joe and I jumped in with what they would be, and I don't think you ever...
Well, we fixed...
I don't remember what I was even talking... This is why this show drives me crazy, is because I start to talk about something... Ugh, God damn it.
You have no control over the show.
It's like, I won't bring anything up in the future,
Welcome to The Long Shot.
No,
it's a podcast where we try not to talk.
As I recall, we were talking about how to get to LAX from Hollywood.
The 105.
No, I want to know, what are your complicated feelings around having a friend over tomorrow?
Just that it's, I haven't had people over in so long.
Right.
And it's going to be awkward.
Right.
And
yes.
How long will it take us to be
not feel like a junior high hangout?
Yeah. Like,
and I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of physical contact, although I don't want to make assumptions. Maybe this is a sex party. But because I mean, you are a hugger. You do love to hug, Sean. You love.
I'm a warm person.
The most touchy-feely person I've ever met in my life.
You don't have that to worry
I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I go for it. You know.
And you're into that like European kissing on the cheek.
Oh God, yes. I do Europe, Asia, and Antarctica. So it's like 7, like back and forth 7 times, you know?
Will you take a walk, do you think?
What's that?
Will you take a walk? Again, will there be some outside element to the visit?
I don't think so. I think we'll be inside the whole time.
What is the plan? Like, do you have like a meal? Is it watching something?
Crudité.
I can't talk about the plan.
Okay. Sure.
I can't talk about the plan. I shouldn't have brought it up. You guys should have stopped me as soon as I brought it up, because this is not what I wanted to do.
It's literally a bank heist. Sean like unrolls the blueprints.
We're gonna have to testify.
It's like
I have a model of a safe in the middle of the floor. Somebody comes over, does a backflip into the safe to show that they can do it inside the vault without setting off the alarm.
It's Conroy's 2.
Yeah, Conroy's 2, right. No, I haven't done this in so long, and I don't know. I don't even know how to explain the feeling except to say it doesn't feel normal, and I don't know when it will feel normal again.
Right.
You know.
I think
and like, do we wear? You know, I mean, I'm kidding about the rugs. I'm not actually going to roll myself up in a rug when the person gets here. That was
you only have the one. So
that was a joke. No, I bought extras over the course of.
How big is that? By the way, I mean that's a big rug. Then that's got to be a big rug, right? I mean, it's a.
I know what you're saying. And yes, I have put on a couple pounds over the course of the pandemic.
Who hasn't?
Sean goes into a rug store and goes, "Do you have this in my size?"
Do you have an extra large?
Rugs are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
But they really tie the room together.
All right. Anyway, if only we were all rich. I've been watching Billions. Did you ever see Billions?
No, do you recommend it?
I don't really. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's also not great. Like it's not prestige TV. It's just like, oh, if I can watch 11 episodes in a row, that's fine. But if I can't, that's fine too. You know, great actors, Paul Giamatti and what's the other guy's name? The red-haired guy whose wife just died, unfortunately.
Yeah, Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis is great too.
He's a very good actor.
His wife was a great actress too. She was on Peaky Blinders, and she died young of cancer, I think.
Oh.
But anyway, it's really fun, but not. You're not like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Right. It's not edge of your seat.
No.
It's like the junk food of TV.
Totally. Exactly right. Like I was going to say popcorn. You said junk food. I feel like that's the same.
Yeah.
thing.
We're on the same. We're playing that improv game where we have to get to the same word. We're very close.
I'm sure someone's written this article and I will read it. But there's got to be some write-up that compares Billions with Succession, because those are the two that I always would confuse, because Succession is like
it's similar in some ways. Yeah, they're both about billionaires, basically.
Right, billionaires. Yeah.
But you know, Billions is funny too, only because it's based on a guy that I have met. You know, one of the.
Wow.
one of the billionaires I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should ask them for money for your film.
Wait a second. We're just dropping. I don't think this has ever been dropped in.
And he knows multiple billionaires.
He knows a billionaire.
I've talked about this before.
He made it sound like he knew multiple billionaires.
I was lying about multiple. This was only this is the one that I know. This is the only one I know.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. But I've talked about it before on the show, but I don't want to get into it again now. All right. We always start this.
you tease Elon Musk.
It's not Elon Musk.
Joe, we really have to let Sean get a word in.
Damn it.
Can I continue? We always start the show with a segment that we like to call Checking In. And why don't we start today with Amber checking in?
Sure. I promise that this won't be what I check in with 100% of the time, but my week really was consumed with Smudgy.
Who is your dog?
Who is my dog? My brand new dog. We've had him just a little over a week, and
he's a tiny man who lives in the wall.
Smudgy, get out here!
Scratch, 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 scratch.
But our friends Dan and Wendy, they're the people who had the backyard that threw the party for Lampy earlier in the month.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they reached out and said, like, hey, we have a backyard if Smudgy wants to run around. And we were like, yes, when can we come? As soon as possible. So on Monday night, we went there and because he's not allowed outside. He can't go for walks still until he's vaccinated. It's again very strange. We're on these parallel paths of like he's in lockdown till he's vaccinated. We're in lockdown till we're vaccinated. We are.
Could you take him outside if he wore carpet around his entire body?
Some pool floaties.
Mm-hmm.
But so we were told that in a private backyard, it's okay. It's just any sidewalk can be filled with feces.
Don't say it because it's just going to make Joe feel worse about the world.
I don't know. Everything is horrible.
Any sidewalk could be filled with amoebas, protozoa, various bacteria.
Yeah, I don't know. But
it's a petri dish. It's a petri dish.
We took him to this backyard, and of course he loved it. He was like running circles. It looks like he's got a little greyhound in him. He goes really fast, and but Sean, to your
get it out of him. That must be so uncomfortable.
I know. What?
He said he has a little greyhound in him.
Yes, and he's such a little guy. But
that killed me.
About like being nervous about social interaction, it was that couple who lives in the house and Jeff and I,
right.
And we were all in masks and we stayed far apart, but even, and it was lovely. Like I want to emphasize how nice it was,
right?
But I came home with like a pit in my stomach of like, how do you talk to people? Like I felt like I was so weird and forced of like, let's talk about this topic now. Or I don't know. Like you're
out of practice.
Yes. And it feels unnatural. There wasn't like a rhythm. It was very like,
where's a good place to practice your conversational skills?
On a podcast?
Nope.
Oh.
Sure.
Bus to Phoenix.
I think I've never thought this, but when people say imagine, for public speaking, imagine your audience is naked,
You've never thought that?
I've never used that. As hashtag sex positive as I am, I don't have that kind of Mr. Peepers kind of thing. But I do feel like Amber, the only thing you can take.
Well, they're probably in the same exact boat as I am.
That everyone. I mean, we're talking about it because, like, I imagine when I have my first walk with Matt, I'm gonna be like, "What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think the specific thing you mentioned is the feeling right after. It's
right.
Like when you're in it.
It's fine, but it's like,
okay.
Was it weird that I started talking about this?
It is like the first time you ever did the first few times you did a podcast, and then you finished, and then literally
I did.
No, I'm just saying anyone.
That was a fucking horror show.
Su primera vez, Not.
By the way, the only time I ever got nervous when I was public speaking, I was addressing a nudist colony. So I had to imagine them clothed to calm myself down. You always give the best post-joke encouragement.
Yo, Sean.
I forgot what I was going to say, but anyway. Well, everyone's freaking out. I think the idea being that afterwards you just go, like after a podcast, you would go, what did I say? I remember after you record a podcast, sometimes you're hit with that, 5 hours later, what did I say for 2 hours?
And that's going to be public. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the same. It's kind of that same anxiety of like.
Mine is more like, what did I not get to say?
Poor Sean. Why have you put up with this for 11 years?
I know, it's crazy.
You're just boxed in a little corner.
Saint Sean Conroy. Saint Sean Conroy.
And then on Wednesday, so that was Monday. And then on Wednesday, he went to the vet for the first time with us. And he got his second round of vaccinations. He can't go out in the world until he has his third round of vaccinations.
Wow.
But
which vaccination did he get?
Moderna?
It would
Pfizer.
By the way, and I don't want to be a downer, but it would suck if your dog still got COVID.
Yeah.
If Smudgy got COVID suck. After 3 vaccinations.
That would suck so hard. I was thinking about that. I've had a lot of thoughts. Is like anti-vax people, do they not vaccinate their dogs?
Well, if they do, couldn't the dog become autistic?
How would you know?
Let's do an informal poll of any of our anti-vax listeners. Have you vaccinated your dog?
There's one person out there going, they're finally realizing. They're finally getting it.
They're finally talking to me.
I've been listening to this for 11 years, and they finally know that I'm here.
This leftist tripe bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's really smart. I cannot wait to take him outside.
I'm not challenging that, but how do you know? What has he done?
Well,
what has Smudgy done?
When he first came home, he's a baby, so he's teething, and his favorite thing to chew on was my hands.
Okay.
And he's learned, like, he doesn't bite me at all anymore. Like, he's very smart.
Right.
Like this morning, I heard a little cry, and I looked at the clock, and it was 6:30, and I was like, "You're right, it's time to get up, Bubba." So like, he like knows the schedule. Like he's a good boy. He's a good boy. I cannot wait to take him outside because I think he kind of understands a pee pad. But I think he thinks all of our carpet is a pee pad, unfortunately. And
my God.
That's bad news.
Yeah, it's bad.
You guys are gonna roll up in them for
your. So I
also just had a picture in my head of you, like you're like, he's smart. Okay, he came home and he was teething, and his favorite thing was my hands. And he learned, and I just pictured you teaching him like he's sitting at a desk and you're drawing on the chalkboard. Okay, this is a hand. See this? Not for chewing. Circle, line through.
I do give him lessons sometimes that I know, like zooming out, I know he doesn't understand this, but it's for me. But like when he first came home, like the first day or maybe the second day, I went for a walk and I came home and then I like held his little face and I was like,
God, you're gonna make
I will always come home. I will always come home.
Oh my God.
I love Smudgy and I love my home, and Smudgy lives here, and I live here, and we live here. Like I did this. I will always come home. And again, I have no idea.
And then he just starts chewing on your hand.
Is it too late? Is it too late to nominate Amber for an Academy Award being given out tomorrow?
Now let's talk about this on the chalkboard. This is an X, and it's a letter, but it also means times, like multiplication. Right. But also it can be an unknown variable once you get into algebra and you have to solve. Where are you going, Smudgy? You can't go outside. No.
Well, that's what's so frustrating is, like, even if we get him perfectly trained on the pee pads, in like 3 weeks we're going to be like, no, don't do that. Like, go outside. Like, it's so strange that we have to train him for such a short amount of time to untrain him. But I guess this is what people do.
But then also, don't you think ultimately there'll be like an occasion down the line somewhere
that
where
a pee pad is a good
it's
idea.
Like, oh, there's the flood outside in Echo Park, wherever you live, and it's like, you can't go out there. So, and he's like, where's my pee pad at?
And we'll say, also, I will say this. I do not know why they even make disposable pee pads.
Because why would you not want to keep those?
No.
Can't you just wring it out like a?
No.
What's the bleach thing you did? Bleach like a towel.
Right. No. It's not about the keeping of it. It's the fact that they don't seem to recognize it as a pee pad, but they do recognize it as something to rip up as soon as possible. And the foster mom said, like, yeah, disposable ones are bullshit. They just rip them up. And the day we got him, I ran to the pet store and it was the only thing I found. So I found disposable ones. And of course, he immediately ripped it up. And it's like, why do they even sell these if universally it doesn't work?
You got to get the granite ones. Those things are great.
I love that you now, Amber, are going to become the person who tells the next dog owner that that it's like
totally
the disposable ones are bullshit.
Well, there's also, it's very interesting having a puppy. I've never had a puppy before.
Let me tell you something about disposable pee pads, okay? First of all, I've been doing a podcast for 40 years. And one thing I know for goddamn sure is first couple episodes, you're like, what did I say? And disposable pee pads.
They're bullshit.
No good.
Is that strawberry margarita, perchance?
No, it's a pen. It's just a pen.
It smells so good.
But, okay. So I think I said this last episode, but I've never had a puppy before in my life. I grew up with dogs, but they were always, like 9 months or a year old. And that's a different ball game. Park. Stadium. So
it's a different ball of wax, as we say in the wax business.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Or the ball business.
I've never had a puppy at all. And also when I grew up, I lived in the country. I lived on a farm. So if we had a dog, why did I say if? When we had a dog and we took it for a walk, it was like opening the door and walking, and the dog did whatever it wanted to do through orchards and mountains.
Freedom.
There wasn't a leash. There wasn't poop bags. There wasn't any of that. So this is my first time having a city dog at all. And it's definitely my first time having a puppy. So go for it.
I grew up on a farm, so no poop bags, no leash. You just go.
You open the door. You say, go.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that is one of my favorite details because Jeff is from Omaha. So people are always like, oh, farm boy and like city girl. But he grew up Omaha is a city. So he's never lived in not a city. And I grew up on a farm. Like, it's opposite of what you would think. Anyway. So having a city puppy is interesting. And when we went to the vet on Wednesday, yeah, I meant Nebraska. I fucked up the whole story. Anyway.
Fact checker, producer Aaron on his game.
By the way, I drove through Nebraska on my way back from New York.
It's flat as hell.
Well, I had been there before because I dated a girl who grew up in Nebraska, but she grew up in a town of 200 people.
Oh, wow.
And she talked about how when she was in high school, there was like, I think there were 6 people in her class in high school.
That's insane.
And one of them was a guy who would show up every morning in his truck with the carcass of the deer he had killed that morning in the back of the truck and just leave it in the parking lot all day, like with his shotgun across the gun rack. And it was just a different world. Universe. So when I drove through there, I was like Omaha, I think, is one of the first things you hit when you drive into Nebraska coming from.
Because technically when you fly into the Omaha airport, you land in a different state.
Which is east of Nebraska. Yeah. Which is what, Iowa, I guess, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Iowa. But anyway, you drive into Nebraska, and the first thing you see is fucking Omaha, which is right over the highway, and it's city and whatever. And then there is nothing for hundreds of miles.
A very long time.
Yeah.
I would hope that none of those people are brainwashed by any systematic program of disinformation, misinformation, voting against their own interests, just because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, I hung in there for 11 years, but that feels like a personal shot at me.
It is funny
I ain't listening to this show anymore.
To think that her graduating class was just like the
6
cast of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. They each had very specific roles.
You know, that makes me think about how
you can't do this. You can't be smart. You're the wacky one.
You're right.
Every time I've seen in a movie or TV the story point of the character going, I can't leave this town. I'm in my head, I'm always like, why can't you leave the town? Just leave the town. But some people don't ever leave that town.
And no shame in the game.
No shame in the game. I'm just... But I mean,
thank you for parroting me.
but
thank you for parroting her.
You're absolutely right, Squawk. I would say that it's when you say 6 people, it's like, well, are you still? It's like when people go, are you still Facebook friends with your high school?
Be attracted to one of those people.
Or
this
all
is
of
Riverdale.
them.
Are we talking like this is basically Riverdale, right? That show with Archie. Yeah.
We know what Riverdale is, okay?
Oh, I was saying it for any listeners out there that aren't as hip.
Okay, but all of that to be said is that there's interesting things you have to do when raising a puppy in the city that I hadn't even considered. So our vet gave us a link to basically a playlist of scary sounds to play Smudgy once a day. And they include like sirens, alarms, traffic, cars,
from an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills.
Right, the Long Shot Podcast. Guns, dogs barking, vacuums, like a whole laundry list of things. But it's an hour long, and it's insane. I was going crazy listening to it. Like, it's full on psychological torture. But I'm like, I guess if it makes him used to it and a non-anxious dog will do it.
Wow.
Because those sounds do happen in this neighborhood.
Right,
Maybe not the guns as much, hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah, although 4th of July is coming up, so that's always a time when dogs go crazy.
I know.
What was the weird, so it was just a variety of sounds. But I mean, there were guns? Like, was there like a Wilhelm scream or something of a guy like, ah! I mean,
each segment it was like a playlist, had like a title, and it was like guns. It was one of the songs, one of the tracks. And it was just like pow, 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 pow. And I don't know, I guess.
So no automatic weapons.
No.
No heavy artillery.
Amber's neighborhood is not that fucked up.
Hopefully. But yeah, it's something that I've never heard of that before. Have you guys heard of that? Playing your dog like horrific sounds every day.
Not for dogs, but
I keep that in my bedroom.
Yeah.
You're just into that.
That's how Sean and I have kept it together for so long.
Right.
We listen to people being murdered.
Let me put on guns again. And I make the thing about it is you can reorder it.
Uh-huh.
Like I had
you like
mine.
To start with guns.
Yeah, I start with guns. Then I go to a door opening, and then a jackhammer.
You tell a story,
and then somebody just popping their cheek like that kind of thing.
Which then segues jarringly into 5 minutes of just someone primal screaming.
And then one water droplet.
Right.
But yeah, that's I feel like I've checked in sufficiently. Thank you.
Hey, I have a quick follow-up question. How's your puppy? How does it feel to be doing like puppy talk? Other than having very direct, passionate declarations of unconditional love and absolute loyalty as you stare into their eyes. What's like between you and Jeff? What's the pup? Because it's like now you have something to talk to. You have this other.
Yeah, it is funny because like Jeff at one point had his earbuds in and was like doing the dishes. And he kept taking them out. He's like, I can't tell if you're talking to me or the dog. I'm like, it's the dog. But yeah, we're disgusting. You don't want to see us.
Can that be a Patreon bonus? Can you record yourself and Jeff talking to Smudgy?
It's cute. We have to keep consciously. I know it's only been a week, but like we can talk to each other about grown-up things sometimes.
It's not all about Smudgy.
But yeah, it's cute. And I wake up much earlier than Jeff. I always have. But I think that's when he's the most excited, Smudgy. Every morning when Papa wakes up, he's like, just Papa's up. It's very exciting. And Jeff is like incredible. He
That's Jeff and Amber's roommate, by the way, Papa. He's an old Greek restaurateur.
It's Papa John, actually.
What are you guys having for breakfast? What is for breakfast?
Oh,
eggs again? Eggs again?
Smudgy is happy to see Papa.
Should I put on underpants?
Who pissed on this rug?
But yeah, you could tell he's smart because he knows he gets treats when he pees. Oh God, this is so gross. When he pees on the pee pad. And so sometimes in the afternoons when he's hungry, when it's
sounds like a real genius.
No, he'll like pretend to pee because he's like, I want a treat.
My puppy's gifted.
He is. He's a fucking genius.
I believe you.
But poor Jeff. So he does like he had to go to like we wanted to continue feeding him the same food that he had in the foster because they recommend that because it's good for their digestion and then they might get diarrhea if you mix it up real fast and blah 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 blah.
Jeff, we need more filet mignon. As it turns out.
Well, poor Jeff had to go to like 5 different pet stores because he thought it would just be an easy thing to grab, but apparently it wasn't.
Wow.
So he's been this hero for us. He's doing all this amazing things. No matter what, Smudgy chooses to cuddle with me.
But at least he gets the Papa in the morning.
He gets Papa. It's Papa's up. Oh, and this morning, it's Saturday. At like 9 o'clock, he kind of freaked out and he ran into the bedroom barking. And
guns.
No, but like if it were Monday through Friday, yes, Papa needs to wake up to go to work, but it's not Monday through Friday. So like,
the pattern.
He's right, but like let Papa sleep.
Somebody play the Wilhelm scream, please. Play the Wilhelm scream. All right. Well, this feels like a good place to take a break, so let's do that, and we will be back in a moment with a segment that we like to call Checking In.
Wilhelm scream.
No.
Hey, everybody, it's Sean. Thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We'd also appreciate it if you would go to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and if you have time, review the podcast. It's up to you whether you choose to review it positively or negatively. We obviously always prefer that you review it positively, but we also want you to be honest and true to yourself. The other thing I wanted to say is we did do a couple of emails a few episodes ago. We're going to get into some more soon. So email us if you have questions, suggestions, anything at all, points of interest. Our email address is mailbag@thelongshotpodcast.com. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. You're back. You are listening to The Long Shot, Come Hell or High Water. It is a podcast. We do have a very special guest joining us today. He will be joining us in person later, or I don't know how this works. Zoom. Anyway, he's going to do some parting shots with us. But right now,
this is practice for tomorrow. It doesn't bode well.
Oh boy! But we'll have rugs on, so it won't matter. All you'll hear is like. All right. Well, we're doing a segment on the show that we like to call checking in. So let's start today with Amber.
Oh God,
no, Joe. What's going on?
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Not rolled up in a carpet yet. As I've mentioned, hoping to transition into a new world, but hopefully a brighter, more hopeful one. This was an odd week for me because my friend, my co-writer, who I've been writing a script with for the last 3.5, 4 months, Matt, he flew up to Portland where his family lives and was dealing with a family illness up there. And it was the first week where I didn't have the writing routine. And that was an adjustment.
Probably wasn't a good.
No, it was anything that upsets the fragile routine. But I ended up sleeping more than I wanted.
No such thing, right?
I checked out a little bit. I didn't do something that I said that I was going to do, and I disappointed in myself for that. I failed at that, which was
what was it?
I want to sign up.
I didn't eat a thing I said I was going to eat.
A chunk.
I did one thing I said I wasn't going to do. And I went somewhere. I wasn't considering going there, but then I went there.
So to get more specific, I want to apply for one of the federal aid packages for rent.
Oh, right. You talked about that last episode.
Yeah, and I didn't get to that. I couldn't get myself to that. So,
yeah, but that's just rent. Like, it's not like, oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know there's still time. I think I'm definitely letting it run out. But
it's not like the federal government's going to go anywhere. It's going to be there.
I know there's the formal application period is still open, so I know that I haven't
till when
fucked it up yet. I believe it's till the 30th. So
okay.
I want to try.
You're one of those guys who needs a deadline. You need a hard deadline, and then you'll get it done. But if it's it's a week from now.
But honestly, if that, I've never been good even with deadlines. I do need a deadline, but ever since I was a kid, like just writing book reports or whatever, I just always remember being the guy scribbling the last paragraph before going into class. Like I think that's just a habit I've always had.
So you hand wrote all your book reports?
Well, at that time, back then, way back in the 1980s. But it was,
pencils down, everyone. Book reports too.
I just, I know that I can work under pressure. One thing that's very common.
That's what a deadline is, though.
Well, I can generate enough in that time that I give myself before the deadline. Like whatever that last, day or 12 hours is, I know that I can just barrel through it, put my nose to the grindstone, and finish it out.
And I realize, as I said, that's what a deadline is. You might be talking about something else. You might be one of those guys who works better if you're lying, or like lying on your back with a board on your chest and like a bunch of people standing on the, those guys who do like that strength thing where they balance a family on their chest or whatever.
Or just at a very high
altitude.
Yeah. So there's
that's less pressure, I think.
Really?
If you go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
There we go.
Yeah. There we go. But and while all that is happening, I'm dictating a Stephen Colbert packet. That's the thing. It's like, that was the last big one that I rarely, I was about to bring up, like in Hollywood comedy writing, when you submit to a show, basically like an audition for a writer is writing up a packet of material that would be on that show. And I rarely do it because I don't have it in me to focus, bear down, and write something quickly. Because usually, you might have a week or 2 weeks, or maybe just 2 days, 3 days. I did it. And I was proud of myself for doing it, but it wasn't easy.
This was for the Gutfeld show?
No. I made sure that no. You
Gutfeld. Missed that deadline.
But I did that thing of like, I wrote all night. That's the only time when it all started to click in. And I was like, oh, I'll take a nap at 4 a.m. Then I woke up, I wanted to sleep 40 minutes and I woke up at 6 a.m, but I still had budgeted enough time to finish it out. And I sent it. And here's the thing. I still sent it. And you
booked it.
I still sent it like an hour because I had written them an email because they had said, we're totally fine if you're on the East Coast and, if time variables, whatever, if you need a little extra time. And I wrote to them, hey, it'll be maybe about an hour later than the cutoff. But, I got it in, but it was.
I like that they put out a memo that said it's okay if you're on the East Coast, time variables, whatever. So anybody reading it would be like, "What is this about?"
No, West Coast. It's like if you're on the other time zones, we understand. If it's there's some flexibility.
Joe sends in his packet. I am at Ice Station Zebra in Antarctica. 2 Antarctica references this episode.
Please
Go ahead, Joe.
Please hire me. Smiley face. The thing with writing right now is that as we've done this podcast, I have been trying to write a long form script, which is again something I haven't done in maybe more than a decade, and my co-writer and I are so close that we're slowing down. Like we can feel that we're stalling because what we have left to write is like the most important stuff. It has to really land right.
You have a fear of success.
Well, we just don't want to mess it up. We want it to come out right. And
but you can
who are you stalling for? Sorry, what did you say?
You can always rewrite it.
No, and that's the thing. It's pushing through that first. This is the end of our first draft, and we're so happy with the draft. I've reread the script. I've kept it fresh in my head. We've been doing little tweaks and edits and cuts and refining and polishing, but we're now at that point where this is the last 15 minutes of the show, and it all has to come together. And it's been really interesting to feel that my own natural pushback of like, if we just stop now, it's perfect. You know what I mean? Now we have to really bring it all together in a way that makes you go, this is a well-written script. These are some good hireable writers. And
Bob, we got a script in the mail. I read the whole thing and it's fucking perfect. It just trails off. Like there's no
ending.
It's only 45. It's supposed to be an hour. It's only 45 minutes. And then it just, one guy goes, I'm going to be right back. And then that's it. Roll credits.
It's a brilliant narrative. Fuck you.
It shows confidence.
So I am ready. I am hoping to talk about soon in an upcoming checking in of getting over that plateau. And that's part of the writing process, is that you hit certain plateaus and you have to reignite yourself and re-energize yourself. And You know what? I actually think that when I get my second vaccine on May 4th, when I do see Matt, I think that's going to be a natural burst of energy and a newness and a feeling, again, hopeful and like motivated, push through it and finish this thing, because I can't wait. I am proud of this. I've read it. I know what we set out to do, and I think
you wrote it, correct?
And I am very biased, but I'm not someone creatively who is prolific, but I also, thankfully, I don't have that thing of working on something or writing something and not thinking it's good. You know, I think some people can be very, very harsh critics in that way of like, it's just not good, or it's like, I don't know what to do with it, or they're just very uncertain about it. If I commit myself to writing something, and this is the thing that I've been most committed to creatively for the last 4 months, we have 73 pages. We've gone long. We're going to go longer than we wanted, but I do feel like what we set out to do.
73 pages, Bob. 70. You hear what I said? I said 73 pages. We always talked about how page count is the most. Yes, exactly. 73 on the button, and then it's over.
It's the marker so far for me to feel like I've achieved something. I know we're going to finish it up, but when it is done, I am so excited to send it out to people because I think it's good. And I know it can get even better. But right now, I think what we're going to have to send out is a solid script. And I haven't had that feeling in years. And it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm vibrating right now because I'm just thinking about how
could be an earthquake, by the way.
It's the Hollywood dream. It's that Hollywood dream of, I feel like if certain people read it, they will respond to it. They will get it. They'll move it on to someone who has that same reaction, who can push the script along, maybe get it there. It is the dream. I know how crazy it is, but it feels good to let myself feel that right now. So,
hey, Bob.
Bob.
I hate it when you do that.
You know how we've been getting a lot of liquid scripts in the mail? Well, guess what? Good news. Don't tell me we got a solid one. Yep. Bingo bango.
What
solid,
a sample.
solid.
Believe me, this sample is very solid.
And guess what else about this that you're going to love? Don't tell me it's 73 fucking pages.
That's my favorite number of pages.
If you tell me this thing has no ending, we're buying it now.
Take all my money.
You know how long Saving Private Ryan was? 112 pages. That's why a lot of it sucked, you know? Could have been much better.
Why have writers been so committed to this beginning, middle, and end thing?
If something has a beginning and a middle, I mean, people love Mad Libs, right? They like to fill in the blanks. What if it was a bigger blank?
Does life end? Okay, yes, everybody dies. But does it end?
So you're going to have the script at some point. June 4th, you said?
I am May 4th, I get my second vaccination. I think we will be done by then. I hope to announce that I am fully vaccinated and have a finished first draft of a script around the beginning of May. That's my goal.
And when you finish the first draft, you're going to send it to people.
We'll probably do a pass on it. Just a final pass on it. Make sure it's all in tip-top shape. And then it will start to go out. I think we'll probably do like batches of 10. If anyone unfamiliar with this process, it is you have to send out a lot of scripts for eventually a couple people to say, oh yeah, I'll read it. And then they actually read it. It's not easy to get somebody, and not that you should automatically assume anyone or everyone has time to read your script, but
I will often go to the library and just put it inside the cover of books, just to get people to read it. So they think they're reading. Then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, this is not To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right. And TV execs are constantly at the library.
Oh, I'm giving it to the wrong people. I don't know.
They're like, Khloe Kardashian's biography is not Khloe Kardashian's biography. So we'll see. Yes, it will. We will. There are people in my mind.
Get them out. Get them out.
Some of them. There are voices in my head. There are people in my mind. Some of them on this very show, but many others that I just specifically know that the subject matter, the environment, the setting of this script is something that will appeal to them. And I'm just really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a first round of pretty positive responses. And if anything, I think the greatest notes you get are when people generally think that the script is in good shape, because then they really give you some fine-tuning notes. I mean, it's tough when I think a lot of the reason why people have it, they say, "Oh, I'll read your script." I once sent it to someone who sent me the most honest response. He said, "Go ahead, send it to me. I'm probably not going to read it. Months will go by. You're going to hate me." Like, he just wrote it all out. He's like, "You're going to hate me. You're going to go, with this fucking asshole, why didn't he read my script?" But no hard feelings, and you can.
And again, I've apologized for that a number of times.
And because a lot of times people send out their script too soon, too early. It's still too rough. That you still need to kind of go back, look at the structure. There may be some bigger flaws in it than you're aware of. But if you can really get it to a point where you feel like you can send it to other writers and they can really start to pinpoint a couple of those critical things that are not huge, but it's just to take your script to the next level. I hate saying that, but to the next level. But
yeah, you want your script to go to the next level. Like if you're on this level,
no good.
This is where you want to be, you know? And then once you're here, if it comes down to here, that's okay. It's not the next level, but it's a different level.
It's a different level.
Right.
Forgive my ignorance.
Ladies furnishings on 3. Ladies furnishings.
Disgusting.
That's the 50s were a very
sometimes
time.
Sometimes things just come out and you're like, what did I say?
Well, because it was like,
I'm looking for.
It sounded like a department.
Well, both were
for
right,
a woman.
just maybe not mashed up together.
Hi, welcome to Ladies Furnishings. What exactly are you looking for, and why are you here?
It's all chaise lounges and pastels. Yes, Amber.
How many pages do you want one of these scripts to be?
Here's an interesting thing. Again, I am not trying to be a page monger. My
no one's asking you.
No. Because I
don't even know what that is, by the way.
And Sean has
it means
pointed
you
it
sell
out.
Pages, I think, down at the dock.
No, I mean,
get your pages here. You can buy your pages. I have pages, and pages of pages.
And you throw the pages across.
As Sean has facetiously pointed out, it's not about. I don't want to make it about the number of pages. Ultimately, I think we need to tell our story first, and then. Hopefully with some very strategic editing. But I looked up, well, what is the standard, right? What is the range for a 1 hour long drama? It is a very wide berth, from 45 pages to 75 pages.
Okay, you got 2 more pages.
2 more pages, and then you only have to take 30 away, and you'll be done.
Just hearing that gives me a chill down my spine, because we are not only are we close to finishing, but we're close to the holy shit. How do we get rid of
40 pages,
10 pages, 15 pages? I mean, what
I'm only mentioning the pages thing because you said it, and it always cracks me up when people say stuff like that, because that is nothing. That doesn't mean anything. Like it's a thing that people hold on to, but it's like, ultimately, what is that? That doesn't, if it's like we have this incredible story. That's a different thing.
Well, I guess that's why I asked. I didn't know if 73 we were in a good range or a bad range. I honestly didn't know.
That's the thing. We wanted to go more 65 to 70. Then we realized, okay, it's going to definitely be more than 70. We're at 73. It's probably going to get closer to 81, 82. And here's the thing. I'm totally with you on the creative page, Sean, of you tell the story and you start off with however long that story ends up being. But
and then you can always make it a two-parter pilot.
Something we've considered.
Thank you, The Good Place.
Thank you. Thank you. Something we've considered.
Did I just solve all your problems? You're welcome.
But it is one of those things that I've been trying to be very informed and strategic about, as far as I didn't know what the page range was for an hour-long drama. And the only reason it matters is because we work in an industry where some people have to read a stack 6, 7, 8 scripts in 2 days. And I've seen other screenwriters talk about how, like, sometimes the moment might literally be because he picks up one script, flips to the last page and sees 87, and grabs another script, and it ends at page 62, and they're going to read the shorter script.
Bob, you ready to have your mind blown? We got a new script. It's a gas, first of all, but it's also a solid. It's a solid script.
These guys
it's
are still
1,042. No, listen to me. 1,042 pages. Season 1 is the pilot. Okay.
Well, I've got this
26 episodes.
And it's 1 page.
We're going to have to fill. Can we sell more ads?
Sean, let me ask you this, though.
A lot of establishing shots.
Sean.
Okay, first we cut in. It's 2 people at a table. We cut outside. We see they're at a restaurant. We cut in. They're still at the table. We're still at the same restaurant. Still at the table.
Now we're in the city.
It's Earth.
Cut back in. We're in the kitchen. That's where they cook the food, in the restaurant that we saw the establishing. So let me ask you this, Sean, as a teacher of television writing.
Mm-hmm.
How often,
starting a new class, by the way. If anybody's interested, please email me.
We plug it.
Yeah.
SeanConroy.com. How often do you contend with a writer wrestling to either have enough story, or probably more likely have to cut back, or editing?
No, I would say the opposite. I would say having enough story is more of a problem.
Right. There's too little. Right.
Having too much is rare in what I'm doing, because people are just learning to. Well, but I'm not saying half hour. I'm saying people are just learning to do it, so they're not necessarily finding every nook and cranny and iteration and twist and turn in the story. They're not getting all the meat off the bone. They've got the bone, they've got some of the meat, but there's still some meat on the bone. At the end of the time that they're with the bone, there's still meat. There's enough meat for like a chicken salad, or whatever, depending on the meat. Maybe it's you can make a soup out of it. I don't know.
I wish there were a cutaway to Smudgy right now with this, his ears.
I will never leave you.
So yeah, being too long is rare, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a problem. Nobody wants to look at a script and go, okay, we'll get to the end eventually. And then part of that also is you want to fucking grab people by the well, I was going to say grab them by the throat in the first 3 pages. You better have something that is like fucking boom away.
It's the restaurant.
I think
this entire script. It's 600 pages. It's just cutting back and forth between various vistas of the same location.
It's so funny you guys say establishing shot, because for eating money, it hasn't been a lot. It's very little scratch, but I have been giving notes to people who want feedback on their scripts, and I just got one this week. And the person had written, same like exterior restaurant - establishing shot, and then nothing else. And then they went inside the restaurant. I literally what you guys were saying, and I remember thinking, I don't think you need to put establishing shot if there is no following up description of anything.
And that's sort of like the director's choice on that.
And that's what I've tried to do, because I tried to be humble about this whole process, because I've never written a script like this, is that I really did try to give myself a 3-month crash course of all the beginner mistakes to avoid.
How did you do that?
By
articles?
No, mostly by videos, as you love.
We leveled up our media.
My tutorial videos.
Welcome to the 21st century.
My beloved tutorial videos on screenwriting and TV writing, I think that our script, we do have a big opening. What I heard, I watched a very interesting video of a guy, because this is a very specific thing of a TV 1-hour drama, and I saw a TV writer describe it as the pilot for a show like this to be really like 99% setup. It just has to, and that last 1% in your script is going to be the thing that makes people go, well, now I want to watch episodes 2, 3, and 4. Because especially now with streaming and a binge mentality.
I gotta know.
So anyway, this is a good meal we've had here at this restaurant on planet Earth. What do you say we go rob a bank?
Do you think we will eat here again?
Roll credits.
So
I don't want you to give away too much of your script, Joe.
No.
Just kidding. This is not your script.
I'm a lock box. But anyway, so trying to keep myself motivated by thinking that the end of that first draft journey is close at hand, and I am looking forward to announcing it on the show. And then the rest, because there's more to write. Treatment, some probably some kind of pitch deck now, what they call a pitch deck, which is like a whole visual thing.
I'm very familiar with pitch.
Right. Decks. It's not just the old school leave behinds of a few sheets of paper all written out. No, it's got to be something visual and PowerPointy. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I've really been trying to think of this idea in every facet to really see it in my head. The look of it, it's a period thing. It's set in 1979. The music, the locations, we have places in it that are in LA that don't exist anymore, but we've done the research. Old movie theaters where you could go see, in 1979, you could go see a movie for $1.25. So I'm really excited by the research that's been put into it, because we've tried to make it real. I just rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is in 69, set in 1969, a decade.
Nice.
But if you want to get inspired by recreating a certain period in Hollywood, that Tarantino obviously is someone who, like, there's the shots of them, the way they dressed Hollywood Boulevard, because that was like they locked down like 3 blocks of Hollywood Boulevard and completely dressed it to take it back to 1969. So that's something that I would want.
In the script, it said establishing shot Hollywood Boulevard,
1969. Yeah. It looks like that.
It looks like what it would have been looking like in 1969. That's
the one action line under it. It looks like that, period. All right. Bad script writing aside, I'm done.
I just started rewatching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it really made me want to go to Musso and Frank's. Like, there's that scene in the beginning with Al Pacino and Musso and Frank's.
It's about to reopen. Yeah.
And I've only been there. I was there for Eddie's, Jesus Christ, I think it was his 50th birthday we did at Musso and Frank's, which was like 14 years ago or something like that. 13 years ago. Wow. But that was not a real Musso and Frank's thing. That was down in the basement, and it wasn't like a. And then I went there one other time for. This is the crazy thing about Musso and Frank's, is that it was just myself and my companion at the time, and it was like a $400 dinner.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
You know,
I've never had dinner there. That's like the stretch goal is like someday
right.
I will be able to afford to have dinner. We've always gone for just like a martini, and it's still been like, ooh, that's a little pricey.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I had this is not to, you know, I live in Hollywood. I work in Hollywood. I'm very involved in Hollywood.
And you're very successful.
Incredibly successful. I had a couple of meetings last week that went really well, but then I needed somebody to help me out with something. So I had this person do all this stuff for me. And I was
what are you talking about?
I was like, when this actually works out, we are going to celebrate at Musso and Frank's.
Amazing.
And they were like, I'm going to hold you to that. And I was like, please do. I mean it.
I want to go.
Yeah.
That's cool. One of the.
So anyway, you're rewriting. Did you say you're rewriting Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? That's your pilot?
Here's what I would say. It's got a touch of that. It's got a touch of Boogie Nights. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've said that before.
Yeah, it's got a little Boogie Nights in it. It's got that. It's a very.
And it's called Once Upon a Time in Boogie Nights.
Interwoven.
A TV show.
A 73-page TV show.
I've never seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You should.
It's a very, very well crafted movie.
I like when people say it's a very well-crafted movie because
it makes it sound like it's bad.
It's like it's totally non-committal, and it like makes it sound like the person is above the movie. Like,
no, but
it's very well crafted for what it is.
No.
There are things about it I really appreciated.
I'm not putting myself above it. I'm saying that Tarantino is a top-level director, so everything about the film is incredibly well done. It is the top of the line people that work with somebody like Quentin Tarantino.
I have a hard time watching his movies.
It's very loose in plot.
I just want to give him, like, I want to stuff him into a locker. He feels like such a dork to me.
It's very loose in plotting. It's very loose in plotting. It's.
He doesn't like women either. It's fairly obvious.
No, I know. It's look.
Who
so it's
does,
hard for me to watch.
Come on.
I happen to be a woman.
No,
they're gross.
I understand, and I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan.
They have a whole department called Ladies Furnishing.
For the
a menstrual chair or something.
It's called chair, period.
It's like it has a special coating. Every piece of furniture is coated.
Hi, I'm looking for a menstrual chair. Of course you are, madam. Right this way.
I noticed.
You wouldn't happen to have a hysterical sofa, would you?
The dressing room is right this way, and please lock the door behind you.
For the record, Amber, I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan, but the recreation of a time.
Yes, he's good at the details. He really is.
I know. Just wish he weren't. I wish he weren't such a fucking
controversial take. I love Quentin Tarantino movies.
Okay,
a lot of people do.
I said it. I think they're incredibly well crafted.
They are very well crafted.
The lighting, wow.
You know what? I'm going to let you guys go now. If
there's a subtlety to his artistry that is particular and unusual that I appreciate that maybe I don't know everybody does. You know,
there's a scene, Amber, there's a scene, Amber, where Brad Pitt goes to Spawn Ranch, where the Manson family lives. And
they're not there anymore, by the way. Just so people, if people come in the middle of this, we don't want them to think the Manson family is still living at Spawn Ranch.
They might be anti-vaxxers. I'm not sure, but it's an incredibly tense sequence, and I think a sign of any master director is the tension that you can create. And it's like a 5-minute, 6-minute sequence where he enters the ranch. And the Manson girls are there, and it's just very creepy. And then he talks to the guy who runs the ranch, and it's just, you don't know if they're all just going to pounce on him and eat him and kill him. It's just so tense. It's a great sequence.
I really liked Inglourious Bastards, and that one scene with the glass of milk.
Oh,
that's probably the best.
Which made what's his name? That guy's career basically.
Right. But that's one of the best examples of creating tension.
Yeah.
That I've seen in modern.
Monsieur Laperdite.
And there's also the scene where they say 3 the wrong way.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oofa. Wow.
Anyway, I'm a fan. Sorry. Deal with it.
No one cares.
I'm not going to apologize.
Aaron, can you make the meme glasses fall on Sean's face when he says deal with it? That's a meme.
What else, Joe? So you wrote 73 pages this week.
No, this was the first week he didn't write any of the 73
I didn't write.
Another way to do it, by the way, is to weigh it. Like you can do it by weight too. It doesn't have to just be number of pages. You can do
grams
it by
or ounces.
I actually watched a video that said don't weigh your script every day. It's not
healthy.
It's not healthy.
It varies. Like it goes up and down.
It's mostly water.
Yeah, depending on the atmosphere.
You know what? Amber is absolutely right. Not solid enough. You gotta get it solid, baby.
Right.
You gotta get that script nice and solid. Nice big log.
And when your script is a gas, it will expand to fill whatever container it's in.
Sure.
So you can't measure it by volume because that changes. It's very variable.
There is a movie called Gas SSS, by the way.
Okay.
Just a little movie trivia. There is a movie called Gas, but it has 3 other S's, 3 additional S's.
So 4 altogether.
I believe so, yes.
And what's it about?
It's kind of a hippie comedy.
I feel like you're lying right now, and I have no reason to think that except that it sounds like bullshit.
I can tell you it's well crafted.
Like that doesn't sound like a thing. A hippie comedy?
It's a hippie comedy. It's
like a Cheech and Chong situation?
Pre-Cheech and Chong. I think pre-Cheech and Chong. Pre-Cheech and Chong. And
Pre-Cheech and Chong.
Pre-Cheech and Chong.
Whenever I say that, I always just say pre-Chong because it's way easier to say.
PC.
Whenever I'm constantly talking pre-Chong, post-Chong.
Yeah.
It's a hippie comedy. It's a counterculture hippie comedy about some.
Oh, a counterculture hippie comedy. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. No, about going against the man. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I'm not lying.
All right. Well,
you may not be buying, but I ain't lying.
And that's available on Crunchyroll? Is that
Crackle?
All right. What else, Joe?
That's it.
That's enough.
That's it. All right.
Thank you, Amber.
Wow. That was harsh.
Laying down the law. And that's enough for you. Amber turned into the bartender of the podcast. Okay.
That is enough.
We're going to cut you off, my friend.
No, I didn't want you to feel like you needed to struggle to talk for more time.
But do you have anything else?
Totally fine. Totally. Absolutely.
We are the mixed message machine.
I just don't know if Joe's done. Do you have more, Joe?
How do we do it?
Sorry, I didn't see Amber signal. Okay. Yes, we're done with Joe.
No.
All right. Well, then it feels like we are ready for a segment on the show that we like to call Parting Shots, which means it's time to bring in our very special guest who is here today.
This is a first-time appearance.
First-time appearance. He has been a fan of the show since it started almost, I think.
Oh, geez.
Very supportive of the show, has made videos for the show, lives in a hippie comedy, basically, in Hawaii. And he's here with us today. Frank Pulaski is here. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Frank.
Happy birthday, Frank.
Oh, there he is.
There I am. Aloha there.
Aloha is what they say in Hawaii, and it means hello and goodbye, and maybe other things too.
We gotta wrap it up, I think.
But Frank
compassion.
Frank actually lives in Cincinnati.
There's a Zoom background right now.
It's good.
Oh, that is okay. It's really nice. It looks very convincing. Yeah.
Thank you for thank you for having me as the 6th act guest.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know how podcasts are structured. A lot of podcasts are structured in 3 acts, some are 4. We do a 6-act podcast.
Yes.
Listeners, Frank showed us that he literally has a notebook of accumulated 11 years worth of notes.
No, it's fake. It's fake.
Oh, okay. God,
I love that he just fucking reeled you in, Joe.
Get Frank off the show. He lied to me.
Just like you lied to us about a hippie comedy.
I do live in a hippie commune, but not a comedy.
Uh-huh.
No.
Not a tragedy, I hope.
Yeah.
No, not a tragedy. But I did put on my pigtails for Joe.
Great.
Amazing.
Love it.
He loves pigtails.
Love it, Frank. Great look.
Oh, wow.
Madam Panther shirt.
Madam Panther shirt.
Whoa.
That's an amazing
There we go.
shirt.
And
wow.
and I do have a new podcast that is coming out that is about me gaining weight and doing nothing. So
you're really roasting all of our.
Yeah, I mean Andrew's not even here, and you fucking nailed him.
Oh my God. The best part was I thought he was talking about me first.
Well,
thank
you. I hear gaining weight, and I'm like, God damn it!
I'm
who's
right
inside my head? Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna do a thing we call parting shots, and why don't we save Frank till last because he's going to give us his accumulated wisdom of a lifetime that he is celebrating a very special day of today, if that even was a sentence in English. So I'll go first. I'll give you my parting shot, which is
get a word in.
Well, can we just, Amber, please? So I was driving back from New York and I got a little into, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big podcast. I know Frank is because Frank works outside all the time.
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
And I have a few that I listen to, but not a ton. So while I was driving, I started listening to a couple. So I just wanted to recommend to our listeners a couple of podcasts that I really enjoyed. And the first one I think is called, I'm going to fuck up the name, but I think it's called Good Assassins. Has anybody heard this show or heard of it? Okay. So Good Assassins, or at least, I don't know if there's more than one season, but I was listening to the most recent season, which isn't even completely out yet. And it's about a guy working for Israeli intelligence in the 1960s. True podcast. This is all true. Working for Israeli intelligence in the 1960s, who goes to Brazil to kill a Nazi. Like,
oh my God.
I feel like growing up, I knew who Nazis were, but they were such a distant memory. And of course, that has changed in the last few years back, as we've realized, yes, that there is this resurgent community in the United States that is being encouraged by some politicians whom I won't mention by name, like Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. I'm not going to say that he's involved in encouraging them, but now all of a sudden it's like, it's not a joke anymore. To me as a kid, it was like, oh, this is an absurd thing that was horrific, that happened a long, long time ago, that has nothing to do with my life now. But what I wasn't thinking about was, like I was like, oh, World War II ended in 1945. It was done. That was it. No more Nazis. But what you don't think about is there's hundreds and thousands and millions of them who then go on with their lives knowing that they have committed horrific war crimes. Right. And so how are they going to get away with this? And they fucking ran, and they ran all over the world to escape this legacy. Go ahead.
A lot in like Argentina, right?
A lot of South America. Yeah. Argentina, Brazil, like wherever they could get to where they felt like they would be safe. And this particular guy was a Latvian guy who I won't get into it, but they do get into some of the details on the podcast. He was actually a celebrity before the war. He was a pilot. He was sort of the Latvian Charles Lindbergh or whatever, like he was very well known and so recognizable by lots of people from Latvia, and then became involved with the Nazis and did just absolute. I mean, we all know the story about some of the things they did. This goes even further than that and is pretty awful. But then he escapes and moves to Brazil with his family and starts a business there and becomes a successful businessman working under his real name.
Oh my God.
And his big mistake is that and I'm giving away the entire podcast, but don't worry, it's 12 episodes, each of which is like an hour long. So there's lots more detail to it.
About a total of 73 pages, I think.
It was, yeah. But he gets interviewed and does a photo spread in a Brazilian magazine.
That's just ego.
And they see it and they're like, this motherfucker is in Brazil. Let's go kill him. And so the whole podcast is about this guy who worked for Israeli intelligence and who was tasked with going, first of all, they had to figure out who he was, whether he was who they thought he was, whether there's a witness who's going to identify him. And these guys are all complete. I mean, this is the other part of it that's so weird to me. This was 1964. So it's 19 years after the war ended. And he has been living in total paranoia that entire time, knowing that Israel is sending out hit squads around the world to kill these guys. So that's a whole other mentality to all of this. So when this guy shows up with his, what do they call it? It's not cover story. There's some whatever. He's pretending to be an Austrian businessman on, an exploration for his business in Brazil. So how is he going to make contact with this guy? How is he going to get somebody else to identify him? They talk at one point about there was a photo of this guy in the library in Latvia, and one of the Mossad agents goes into the library and borrows the book, but there's no copiers at the time. There's no Xerox machines. So he literally just takes a razor and cuts the picture out and takes it with him and then returns the book to the library because that was the only way they could get photographic evidence that this guy was who they thought he was. Wow. So anyway, I highly recommend it. They've only come out with, I think, 5 of the 12 episodes.
What's it called again?
It's called Good Assassins. I'm pretty sure.
Good Assassin?
Good ass. Ins.
Okay.
The one thing that I seem to recall is that with some of those cases, obviously in this one, this guy became a businessman, but a lot of times they end up being the kindly old man in the community that everyone kind of rallies
around.
Yeah, and because in some
Mr. Hooper on Sesame Street was a Nazi war criminal.
In some of these real life instances, they find them or they're brought to justice in their 80s, or late 70s.
Or later. I mean, in America, they were still finding people within the last decade or so.
Right.
And that's just something I never thought about, which is why it's kind of fascinating to me. There's a side story in it about exactly what not exactly what kind of what you're, it's like what anyway, this guy goes to, I think he's in Vienna. And somebody says to him, this is a different Jewish guy who lived through the war and was in a concentration camp. And somebody sees him and says, this guy is still alive working as a butcher here in Vienna. He has a butcher shop. And this was, I think, in the late 40s. So it wasn't that long after the war. So this guy goes to the butcher shop and says, is so-and-so here? Right. And they're like, oh, he's not here. He's in a POW camp with the Americans. Like they had figured out that maybe he was involved in this and they had taken him to this POW camp. So the guy goes to the POW camp and goes to the warden and says, I think this guy is in your camp. Let me go in and try to find him. And the warden says, there's 10,000 prisoners here. How are you going to identify one guy out of these 10,000 people? And the guy says, just put me in as a prisoner and I'll find him. So he goes in, he finds the guy, he knows it's him. He had personal contact with him during the war.
Yeah, it sounds like a personal.
Right. And so
to the warden is like, it's this guy.
Right. So he goes to the warden. He says, this is the guy. They take him. And I think they took him back to, it was somewhere in the Soviet Union at that point, like back to Poland or something. And he ends up, I can't even remember if he was executed or he serves 12 years, like whatever it was like he went so far just to track this guy down because the guy thought he was getting away with it by being this butcher in Vienna, you know,
right.
Not the kindly old guy in the neighborhood, but sort of similar. Anyway, it's a fascinating show and highly recommend
butcher
it.
Though.
What's that? Still a butcher, yes.
Still a butcher.
Good butcher.
Yes.
He was a great
Yes.
butcher. Really
but he was a vegan butcher, which was weird. So
right. No sausage in Vienna?
Yeah, no Vienna sausage. Here's the other one I listened to that I really enjoyed was a show called Death at the Wing. I don't know if you guys have heard of Death at the Wing.
I saw you tweet about it.
It's Adam McKay is the narrator and produced it and, you know, is obviously very involved in it. And it's about, I mean, it's really about the country going to shit over the last 40 years, but all told through the lens of specific basketball players whose lives ended badly over that time. Like, for example, the first one you always think of is Len Bias, who died of a cocaine overdose and was one of the impeti. I think it's probably impetuses. Was an impetus for the war on drugs that, you know, all of a sudden when Len Bias died, it became politically expedient to make it a crime. And by the way, Len Bias did not smoke crack. Like that was one of the things that they talked about was that it was cocaine, not crack, and that it wasn't a thing he had done a bunch of. But the stories were he was smoking crack and he OD'd on crack because he was black. And so therefore crack is this terrible thing. And that's when it started this whole thing of people being arrested for crack having such much worse penalties than people got for cocaine because cocaine was a rich white people's drug versus crack.
All under the excuse of we don't want another Len Bias. What a tragedy.
Right. And then expanding out from that, like this is what's going on in the inner city and we have to stop it. And, you know,
an excuse to put people in jail.
Right. So there's a number of them. And, you know, one of the early ones is a guy who was playing in the NBA and who did become addicted to cocaine and all the stuff that he went through, but it's always told as all of Adam's stuff has been done, I think, since he was at Second City back in the 90s, through a sociological lens and through an analysis of much deeper problems and deeper issues. And obviously when he was at Second City, he was doing comedy. This is not comedy. This is just storytelling, not just story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's storytelling is not
without punchlines.
Less than,
Sons.
Although I will say one of the things I liked about it the most, at least in the 3 episodes I listened to, was that it's very dry and very subtle, but he does go hard after what's his name? The giant white guy who was like a center in the NBA early on. Aaron, can you figure out who that was for me? The guy with the glasses who
Rambus?
No. 50s, 1940s and 50s. Anyway.
Is there a podcast for that?
He like makes fun of that guy in very funny, subtle ways. Because part of the whole thing with the NBA and drugs was that it, you know, the NBA in the 70s and 80s was becoming too black, and that's why the drugs got more involved. And you know, anyway, it's great, and I highly recommend that too. So that's 2 podcasts that I really have been enjoying. George Mikan, that's right. That's who it was. George Mikan, who's like a big, giant, goofy white guy who was
singer.
That's George Michael. Very successful in the NBA early on. And eventually was the commissioner of the ABA when they tried to make that a thing. And anyway, the story about Mike is funny, but the rest of it is just really interesting and great. So that's my parting shot. Joe, parting shots.
My parting shot is, as I've mentioned before on the show, I've had a habit of ending every conversation with my aunt, nightly phone call with us telling jokes. It's been a pandemic year thing just to keep our spirits up. And recently, I was not very focused on this call, on a recent call. And what happens is that she starts to tell the joke, and I get so distracted that I don't really hear it all. I don't really get it all. And she finished a joke the other night.
By the way, I appreciate that Frank is smoking while you're talking.
And
for Joe.
Thank you, Frank. And she finished the joke, and I had no response. And so there was this very awkward silence and a long pause over the phone. And then my aunt said in Spanish, "End of joke."
Yeah. Now you laugh.
And it made me think that we've actually, I think, made that joke on this podcast. Where we've had to, right, Frank? Where we've I'm going to the archivist here.
Yes.
Where we've had to say end of joke.
Sean, Sean, right. Sean had something where it was like end of joke. That he would say something, and like I think you or somebody said that should be your punchline. That is the end of the joke.
I would never comment on Sean's stand-up.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am when I start doing stand-up again, I am planning to use that as my catchphrase and release an album called End of Joke. Yeah.
The funny thing was
anybody here from out of town? End of joke.
Now laugh.
Of course, the funny thing was hearing it first in Spanish, which was fin del chiste. Chiste is joke.
Fin del chiste.
So there's this long pause, and then she just goes, fin del chiste.
It's so cute. That is wonderful.
Cool.
And then there were a couple other clunkers, because here's the thing. Now when we get on the phone and talk about this stuff, she goes, "Josita, I think I have read every joke on the internet." Like she knows. She's like, "I remember this joke. We did this joke. This one's not very good." So there were a couple clunkers in there, and the runner became fin del chiste for like 20 minutes. It was really
so good,
very entertaining. All right, my last parting shot is since I love when we throw out the recommendations off of Sean's recommendations here. I watched something that I think is kind of under the radar. However, it's gotten some great critical acclaim and some award nominations. It's a TV show on Stars called P-Valley. Have you guys heard of it? No. It's set in a strip club in Mississippi, and it's only 7 episodes. It's sex
positive.
Yeah, sex positive.
It's written by this incredibly renowned, award-winning playwright named Katori Hall, and
incredibly renowned.
No, I looked up her Wikipedia.
Too renowned, arguably.
She's one of She's one of the top American playwrights. And she's done various residencies she's won huge awards in England for Best New American Playwright. Anyway, she created the show.
All right, everybody, on the main stage right now, give it up for Mississippi.
The show is based off of her play, which is called Pussy Valley. They retitled it for Stars, P-Valley. But it is
much better title.
It's set in this
because it could be either gender.
Could be about a place where they harvest pea pads.
It's set in the strip club in the South. It is incredibly well crafted.
Oh boy.
The writing is a little. I had that reaction of it's a little stagey because it does come from a play. But as it develops, and it's only 7 episodes, if you have Stars, you can get a free trial through, I forgot what, but you can get
today's episode sponsored by Stars.
You can get a free trial through Amazon. It's
and by the way, if you don't have Amazon, you can get a free trial through Stars.
Amber, I think you would like it. I think you would like
Thanks,
it. I
Joe.
think it's
You love those Mississippi strip club stories.
no, it's because the characters they're very well
crafted.
They're
Yeah.
well done. They're well etched. They're well etched, well developed, and there's a great. It's probably as close to RuPaul's Drag Race as I've gotten as far as watching something. I know wasn't the big
finale was
last night because there's a great character who runs the club, who's this gender fluid trans actor who is he goes by Uncle Clifford, but he like I said, he's kind of the mama of this strip club, and the writing is so authentic that it's almost like a patois of the people in that town in Mississippi and the strip club and the language that they use, and I thought it was really good.
What is a patois?
It is kind of I guess a form of slang that's kind of a variation of
like pigeon.
Yeah, right, a sort of
so it's a bird
pigeon version of a language.
A swallow.
Are you talking about like how is it like Drag Race? Because of the drag language?
Because of the
Uncle Clifford.
Because of the presentational aspect of the environment that you're seeing, dancers. There is an amazing sequence in this show where they have like 30-foot high stripper poles, and the
Just
dancer,
like
one of the feature. Well, but it's that sense of like full theatrical presentation, total power
spectacle,
in your artistic expression, and the dancer starts going up the pole. And what they do sound-wise is that they bring down all the people cheering and the music, and all you hear are her breaths of pushing herself up the pole, and then you hear the clack of her platform heels hitting the ceiling because she's gone all the way to the top to do this amazing drop move that she's about to do. But it's really, I just thought...
Sounds really well crafted.
It was very well crafted in the sense I had never seen that audio kind of move done, and it was I just think I
is it possible that everybody left while she was climbing?
I recommend the show. I don't think I think
she has asthma or something.
I know. I think she was doing well. I think people were fans. They stayed, but when you hear the exhalations, the grunts that she's doing that nobody else can hear as she's trying to get all the way to the
people who are watching can hear.
It was a very effective device, and I just want to recommend that show, P-Valley on Stars.
P-Valley, check it out on Stars. Get it through Amazon, and if you don't have Amazon, get Amazon through Stars. Today's sponsors. All right, parting shots. Oh no.
Lucio Po. Sorry.
We lost you for a second, Frank.
I was doing a code for... Sorry, I am in the middle of the ocean, so I apologize.
The signal cuts in and out. Well, while we have you, why don't we do parting shots? Frank, why don't you give us whatever you got? I don't know if it's a boba of wisdom, a nugget of virtuosity, whatever it is.
I don't like the whole boba thing. I like the nugget better.
Great.
So
I'm with you.
Here's my nugget of wisdom.
Okay.
One of many. I have like four, but I'm going to do one right here, and it's something that I heard of an interview from Viggo Mortensen, who played, what's his name in that Lord of the Rings movie?
He was right? Strider, whatever Strider's name is. Aragorn. Aragorn.
Yeah, Aragorn. So he lived in a family that his parents and family members had dementia, and he made a movie, and the main thing that he learned about how to deal with someone that has dementia is to let go of your ego. So if he saw his dad and his dad said, "Hey, I saw Joe the other day, but Joe's been dead for 10 years."
Not our Joe.
Not that Joe, but we have an instinct to want to correct that person, where he found out that instead of trying to correct him, you just go with it and go, "Oh, so how was your lunch with Joe?" So to me, it shows that like sometimes we get so lost in our own ego that we have to be right all the time, that sometimes it's okay to like not be right and like not have to explain, and like we all live in our own fantasy world, our own lives. Of course, if someone's a Nazi in South America, then you want to say something to that person, but
you want to correct them.
You want to be like, "Hey,
you want to correct them."
Yeah.
Don't.
But like small things, like I have a client who he thinks that his partner who passed told him this certain thing, but it was me. And so instead of me saying no,
you told him you loved him, right?
It was no, I told him that plants die because as soon as his partner died, the plants started to die. And they were older plants, and he was kind of like, he had not only grief of his partner, but he had grief of the plants dying.
Yeah,
so I had to tell him,
like
plants die. That's what happens. Like people, plants die. But now he thinks that his dead partner told him that. So instead of me going, "No, Don, it was me,"
let him have that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Just like, give him that.
And then go, "How was your lunch with the plants?"
How was lunch with the plants? So like I find myself kind of sometimes always wanting to be right, be it driving, be it at the store. And I had a lot of angst and anger younger, and now that I'm older, I've learned that I'm happier if I don't say anything sometimes, because every time I do, I feel like shit, because I don't want to be a mean person, but it comes out like I'm being some mean person if there's a lot of traffic stuff. So I guess the
nugget.
I'm a little nervous first thing.
You're doing great. You're doing really great.
I do have a stutter, and that was something that I was not going to bring up, because something else that I learned. I heard a interview with a stuttering scientist, and my whole life I was told that I always needed to speak perfect, and I spent all my time in school doing therapy and all this stuff to like speak a perfect, and that gives me anxiety. So I have anxiety speaking. And what this scientist lady who has a stutter, what she says is that instead of me trying to be perfect, then it's better if you just acknowledge that this is the way I speak. So that's also like tied in with ego, because I want to be a perfect speaker, but I cannot be one. But what is a perfect speaker? Like will there ever be a actor on TV who does stutter, but it's not a gag or a
right,
or a thing? It's like I guess what I need is to have the knowledge that people are okay with how I speak, and rather than me trying to always appease people, that gives me anxiety to even do more stuttering.
Right.
Totally.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think trying to be perfect, there's no such thing, right?
Yes.
Like, I think that's what you were getting at. There's no such thing as perfect. There's you.
Yeah.
And that's what you can be. And I think that's what you're saying, right? Like,
yes.
And being like confident and solid and like, this is who I am and this is how I express myself. And if the people around me aren't okay with that, that's a them problem and not a me problem.
Yeah, and that is really hard. I do that with other stuff, but the whole speaking thing is something that I just don't need to worry about anymore. But it's hard because I am 48, so my whole life is like speak like this,
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Well, and I'm sure those are deeply ingrained, things that people told you since you can remember, so it's hard to untrain yourself of that. So
right, but hearing someone who stutters tell me that it's okay to stutter is something that I personally needed.
Yeah.
To I did not want to bring up the whole stuttering thing because my whole life, when I first meet somebody, I always say I stutter, to a point where last year I had to go to the ER in a ambulance, and on the way down I told the EMT that I stuttered, and for them it's good to know that I'm not too nervous, right?
Right.
But he said, well, there is therapy for that. Like, as if I, so like that.
Like you had never heard of that before.
Right. Oh, yeah. Really?
Frank, you didn't tell him I just got it last Tuesday.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it contagious?
Like I know, but that is an example of the outside world trying to change me, where if could I be a comic or improv or actor who had a stutter and not bring it up, right? Like Joe, would you write a character that has a stutter, but it's not a main point of his story, right? But we tend to see people who stutter as kind of goofy and nervous and stuff like that. So I'm hoping someday that my all I can do is make myself have less anxiety about it. So I'm trying to not bring it up that I stutter.
And you failed.
A beautiful epic failure, Frank. I got to be honest. I didn't focus too much on what you were saying, Frank, because I was staring at your pigtails the whole time.
It is a funny thing for you to be talking about something so serious while you're wearing your hair like that.
The hair looks great, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank,
thank you.
I'm glad you have heard recordings of this podcast where we have said the exact same thing. I wasn't going to talk about this. I didn't think about bringing it up, or I didn't want to. And
I started to talk about it, but I got cut off.
Sometimes those are, I think for us, Frank, some of the best memories we have, or some of the moments where we feel like we actually helped ourselves. And I just really appreciate you talking about it, Frank. I think you did express yourself perfectly, because you said something very honest and heartfelt to us that you're sharing with us. And it's been great to have you on the show and for you to speak about something that personal, I think, is what has probably helped you listen to this show and for 11 years. So,
but
it's great.
But do you guys have any friends or any kind of like Sean? Have you ever taught someone who like improv who had a stutter?
I honestly don't remember doing that, but it's funny because I do, or maybe it's not funny. I don't know. Some things are funny and they're not, but
it's notable. It's interesting.
I have a very close friend from when I was growing up. I'm sure I've talked about him on the show before. And in fact, he lived 3 houses away from me the whole time I was growing up. And I just saw him over the time I was at my parents' house back in New York. He doesn't live there anymore either, but he came down to visit. We met at a Starbucks. I hung out with him and his son and whatever. He sent me a photo just within the last 2 days that he had gotten from, he had visited another friend of his that was a friend he made in junior high school and became very close to after that. So I knew this other guy, but I didn't know him as well and was not as close to him as my close friend was. And it's funny that we were talking about that last week, how you are, or a couple of weeks ago, about how you are friends with one person and that friend is friends with other people. Right. And it's not a group of friends that hang out. Anyway, he sent me a funny picture that his friend had in a photo album. But the point of it is that his friend was a stutterer the whole time we were growing up. That was just who he was he was a guy who stuttered. And I think he did go to a lot of therapy and stuff. And I don't know where that is at this point for him. But it was a thing. It was definitely part of who he was. And I'm sure there was stuff about it that when we were kids, we made fun of, but we also that was who he was, So right. It wasn't like a thing that people dwelt on or thought about or, whatever. I'm also thinking of, there's a newscaster on CNN who has a stuttering problem or I guess I shouldn't say problem even, who is a stutterer. And that's just, he's on all the time. I forget his name, but he, he's done a lot of work in the, I don't know what you call it, but the stuttering community, and has gotten awards for the fact that he has made himself a public person and right. sort of said, this is who I am and this is how I talk and whatever. I also think about the president, right? That's a thing that he has talked about.
Yes.
That's something that he has dealt with his entire life.
See, and like Sam Neill, the actor, he stuttered, until he got on stage and stopped. So it's like there are these people who like James Earl Jones,
speaking of CNN,
CNN, he had a stutter, but it's these stories where they had a stutter, but then they don't have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I've been trying to chase that being perfect. So
right, there are many other stories, Frank. Yes. Right, many other different experiences.
My nugget of wisdom is just be okay with you, and don't be a dick too. Please don't be a dick.
Sure.
Right.
Like please, but
pointed, but
balls.
Yeah, balls.
Except if you are a dick, be okay with being who you are.
Oh wow!
Well, see,
wow.
Because hey, you're still a good butcher.
Yeah, you're still a butcher. Well, hey, the boys of Brazil, that movie.
Yeah.
That is about like
Nazi hunters,
Nazis and Hitler and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
The boys from Brazil. Yeah, the boys from
like Joe is usually the one who talks about movies.
Yeah, we love talking about movies we don't really know about. It's our favorite.
I do know the title is The Boys from Brazil. Yeah.
Well, just to go back to something you said early on, Frank, saying that sometimes you walk around and you want to correct people. I mean, that that sounds horrible. I can't imagine what that must be like, feeling all the time like you want to make sure people are, they're not doing it right.
It's hard. I mean, here in Maui, we have probably here everywhere there are really bad drivers. Okay, I live something that Eddie would say is walk with purpose. So I always try. I walk, I drive, I do things with purpose. And when someone does not put on their blinker, or mainly what it is I feel like there are many people in this world that are very selfish and they don't care about you. I was in the Air Force, so the whole teamwork thing is something that I want in the world. Like, I want us to work together, because if we all work together, then this weird shit won't happen. And it's simple things like being online, the whole the whole COVID thing has totally helped my anxiety, because there are set rules now. I never like close people behind me, and like sometimes you had like some guy had like 3 items, and he would put 3 items on the whole belt, so then you can't put your items.
Frank shops at the same place as Sean does.
I'm very focused on how many items there are on the belt.
But I can relate to Sean, because like it really, like, this stuff can annoy me, and I've been trying to have it not annoy me as much.
Let it go.
Like, it's not my job. I've only gotten into 3 yelling matches in the past year, and that's really good.
I didn't even know you could have matches. If I had known that, I would have been having matches all the time.
You'd be a champion.
Yeah.
I had one guy at Costco who was mad at me for being too close to him, but in Costco, those carts are so huge that has to be 6 feet at least. But he stopped short in front of me, and I kind of stopped short, and he started yelling at me, and he said, "Fuck you, man," and I left, and of course, something in me stopped my cart and like ran at him and said, "What the fuck did you say?" And he took down his he had on a flag mask. And he took down the mask to yell at me.
Oh, he thought you really couldn't hear him. He was just trying to be loud.
I guess so.
Very considerate.
And something stopped in me where I was like, this is not right. I should back away and go away. But I should have never done anything. Like who cares if someone says, fuck you to me? I just walk away. So I'm trying to learn that, because there is that part of me that wants to get not in a fist fight, not even win, but to go, no, hey, I was not being a dick. You were actually being a dick, but who cares what the fuck this guy thinks? So I'm trying to not care what. I'm trying to not be the police of everything. Like, here's how to act like that, do that. It's hard. It's not easy, because everyone annoys me, because they don't.
Can't imagine what that's like either.
Because there is no teamwork. Like we have to work together. Of course, the whole COVID thing, but in general, like. Okay.
Frank.
Yeah.
Frank. Joe.
Just because I want to see you get up and walk away in a very long shot. Fuck you.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, we got you there.
Frank, if you just literally walked the mile over over that little ridge.
All right. Well,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
No.
Okay. Well, I got bad news. I got bad news for you, Frank. That was not a nugget. I believe that actually was a boba. That was a full-on boba, but that was great. So we appreciate it. We appreciate you being here, and thank you and happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the great videos you've made, Frank, over the years. Those were some of the funniest things. I remember some of those early ones that just got me even more into the show. Frank has made a lot of very funny videos where he takes clips from the shows, puts pictures on them, and you had a great run of those. They're really, really funny, entertaining.
So much fun. I mean,
Frank, well crafted.
Thank you. I spent years doing video, and I kind of had this thing for like B-roll. So I thought some way I could do something. I did reach out to Jamie long ago, saying, "Hey, hey,
it's coming up on 8 or 9 years."
No. I started from the first episode because I heard of Eddie from Mark Maron, of course,
right,
and I knew Sean from this weird Bullseye.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Not Bullseye, the Sound of Young America, and that was like 2009 or something, and
right.
That was the first time I heard of the UCB, and
it was me, Matt Besser, and Chad Carter did an episode of Sound of Young America with Jesse and the Daily, right?
Yeah. Oh, Sean, I'm super sorry, but why does any daily and any help me out
Secunda
sound alike? They sound alike to me for some reason. They have the same pattern of speech.
Well, they work together a lot, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but we'll take that discussion offline.
Yes.
But but that was great, Frank. Thank you. And so I want to go to Amber for her parting shot. Before I do, we've talked about this before about reading Aaron's notes that he sends us during the show. So I just want to see if there's any here that are particularly interesting to me. It says they're at Union Station this year. That was about the Oscars. For $1. I don't know what that was. You made eyes at him. Not sure what that was. Men of Honor was the Cuba Gooding Jr. movie where he was dressed in a diving suit. Is it Eddie? Is it Eddie? Aaron asked twice if that was the person coming over tomorrow, and it is not Eddie.
Okay, we got the answer.
Omaha is the capital. That's in reference to Nebraska. Clowns, carousels, hockey fights, cooking on a wok are some other tracks that Aaron thinks should be on Smudgy's mixtape.
That's true.
That's some Clockwork Orange shit. Fainting couches are things you can find in the ladies' furnishings department. Size Queen, I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
That's like a drag race thing, so I'm guessing it has to do with Joe's stripper show.
Right.
This is Joe's
stripper sippy.
I love how this is a new show quiz that there's no.
It can answer the first two that you didn't know, but
there's no answer key.
They shot a lot of the driving in Burbank. That's a reference to
Once Upon a Time in
Hollywood. The Chancellor. I don't know what the Chancellor. I know who the Chancellor is. I don't know what that's
when you went. Because I remember all of these. It's when you went to Musso and Frank.
Yes.
Oh right.
You went with a lady friend.
Yeah.
All right, you're doing great, Amber. You're
Good Assassins Hunting the Butcher is in fact the name of the podcast I was talking about. A classic face-off situation. I don't know what that's about.
The guy went into prison to look for the
George Mikan was the basketball player. Smudgy loves it. I
never want to live again.
Smudgy loves it. I don't know what that's about. Leave Us Stars sounds like a request. Aragorn was the name of Viggo Mortensen's character, which I eventually got. Thank you.
All right.
I knew it too, but I was just joking.
Right. Joseph Mengele. I don't know if that another Lord of the Rings character. Chucky is one of Frank's videos. Possibly, I don't know if that's my favorite, but it's definitely top 3. It could be my favorite. My favorites go back and forth, but that's a great one. The Chucky video.
There's a great video of Eddie going off on how grandmas in the South are called like Mima.
Yes.
It's another good one.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he gets angry about anybody calling their grandmother anything.
Meemaw, Nina, hee haw.
Nobody should ever address their grandmothers, according to Eddie. All right,
should be seen, not heard.
Right. He's not letting things be as they are. He did not listen to Frank's boba of wisdom. All right, Amber, parting shots.
Yeah,
Bring it home.
I'll be quick. I'm getting my second shot on Wednesday, and I'm very excited about that. But Jeff and I all week have been doing like weird logic puzzles and like scenarios of what to do now that we have Smudgy, and like how to leave him home alone, and if we could have someone come here, or if we bring him and then we each get our vaccine separately and the other person waits in the car. Like, we were doing all these different scenarios. And then today Jeff is like, I can just change my appointment. So you go in the morning and I go in the afternoon. And I was like, that makes more sense than the difficulty we were creating. So
such a simple, I mean, that's how I used to solve logic puzzles. I was like, well, why don't we just have Mr. Jones move into the red house? Then we know who's in every house.
Right. But
the baker.
That means on Wednesday, unless I do a trial run before that, on Wednesday will be the first time that I've driven since Cupcake Gate.
Oh boy.
So
speaking of anxiety.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be fine. It's for a good cause. But that's my quick parting shot.
Folks,
you're gonna do great driving, Amber.
Thank you.
This has been The Long Shot, coming to you from Los Angeles, California, as well as Hawaii. Frank does not want to hear the end of this.
Yeah, Frank is walking away.
He's committed to the bit.
Happy birthday, Frank. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Great commitment, Frank. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Fin del chiste.
Bye. Happy birthday, Frank.
Happy birthday, Frank.
I'm not sure about anything. Just know if I go 5-4, then I will be okay, yeah. Just know that if I go 5-4, I'll be okay.